Recording. Okay, hey guys, welcome to our Monday afternoon Zoom. I almost said Monday night Zoom. We have a couple of things we're going to go over. Number one is the topic of rejection. I've been rereading, rereading a book. Um, like literally every chapter is a principle, and I feel like every single principle I could bring to you, but sometimes the principle is so strong, and that's the one I want to talk about today. But before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about our nervous system and just a really simple thing that you guys can do every single day, multiple times a day if you need to get centered, to bring yourself back around. Let me close this thing out. And also, I just want to remind you that in 1 hour, 1 o'clock Eastern, Jason Camper, Cliff, and Liz are going to be on a corporate call. I can't remember if it was a call or Zoom, but they're going to be doing that. So anyway, so the nerve reset is something that I do often, and I just have never really thought to share it with you guys, and I apologize for that. But it's just something I learned years ago, and it's kind of weird, but it's very helpful. It helps lower your blood pressure. It helps center you. It helps with digestion, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, it's the vagus nerve, which is a nerve that goes from your brain all the way down to the bottom, and has a lot to do with mainly the involuntary things that your body's doing during the day. So like digestion, like you're not thinking to yourself, okay, let's digest, right? Like it's just happening. You're not thinking, okay, blink, it's just happening. There's a lot of things that just happen, but that doesn't mean that they don't need improvement or don't need kind of some clarifying or clearing back out. So this is just something you can do very simply. I do it a lot. Like I said, you could do it, just don't do it if you're driving. You want to be seated, or you could even be laying down. But I'm going to tell you first how we're going to do it, and then we'll do it together. And of course, I'm the only one on here face wise, so I'll be doing it by myself, I guess. But basically, what we're going to have you do. Oh, good. Okay, I see a face now. So don't do it yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to look left for like 2 seconds. We're going to look right, like we're actually going to turn our head and look. Okay. Then we're going to come back to center. So if you're like at your desk or whatever, like find your center so that you know where you're looking at. And then we're going to look left and right again, but this time just with our eyeballs. We're not going to turn our head, and we're going to hold it for what's going to feel like forever. It's about 8 seconds, but it's going to feel like forever. It's going to be kind of hard to do. Yes, Sandra D, yes. Very much so. So it's going to feel hard to do. You may feel the urge to sneeze. You may feel the urge to yawn. You may just feel your eyes kind of jolting around. But when we look and we hold it, and then we come back to center, again, make sure you're seated or laying down because you could get dizzy. Then we're going to go look the other direction. We're going to hold that for 8 seconds, and we're going to come back to center. And then I'll prove to you how different it feels. So, okay, so if you're ready, I just want you to look over your left shoulder. Just turn your head and look. Just hold that for a couple seconds. Come back to center. Look over your right shoulder. Couple seconds. Come back to center. All right, now here's the tricky part. Just use your eyes to look as far left as you possibly can. It's gonna feel weird. It actually like makes my eyes kind of jump sometimes. Okay, back to center. Now quickly to the right. Nope, no, I almost turned my head just with my eyeballs. You know it feels weird, but look as far to the right as you possibly can without turning your head. Okay, back to center. You might feel a little whooshy. Now turn your head to the left. Look how much further you can turn your head. Now turn your head to the right. Look how much further you can turn your head to the right. Were you surprised at how much further you could turn your head? That's it. You just reset your nerve. Super easy to do, kind of weird, I know, but don't be surprised if after you do it, you feel a little poof at first. But we basically just tricked our nervous system into opening up a little bit further, because during the day, we do things so automatically that we kind of get in a routine, we get into a rut. Our brain, like you're sitting at your desk, you're like typing, you're staring, your neck is all stuck for a while. So when you go to turn, you can't do much, but when you reset that nerve, you can really turn that head. Sheila said that's crazy. So you got a difference with turning your head too, Sheila? So again, like if you get some free time later and you want to look into it, it's called the Vegas. It's not, that is crazy. I was turning my head the second time and you said, don't turn your head. um, I want to make sure yeah, VAGUS, the vagus nerve. So you can do all kinds of stuff with the nerve. Like, people will actually so that's like an at-home version of stimulating the nerve. You can actually go to like doctor's offices and they will stimulate it with like different electrodes and stuff. But it can do everything from regulate your emotions, your blood pressure, lower your heart rate, reduce inflammation, treat migraines or headaches, minimize seizures, Sandra Delbeck, treat depression. So again, that's like at a doctor's office, but on just a minor everyday level, if you are stressed out, if you're sitting at your desk and you're, I don't know what to call it, but sometimes if I look at my computer too long, I start to feel tired and I know I'm not. Let's say you get that like, oh, I gotta go live, or oh, I gotta do a reel, or oh, I gotta make a post, or oh, this person responded. Maybe this person said something mean to me, right? And you're like, don't know how to talk back or know what to say. And you get like that nervous, just stop, just reset yourself for a hot second. You'll feel yourself come back down. You'll actually think clearer. So this is just something super, super easy to do that you can do, like I said, multiple times during the day if you have to. You probably won't even have to do it more than once a day. But if you're having a high stress day, you might. If you're in a situation where like, I don't know, I don't know, maybe you're going to fly and you're afraid to fly. You know, like there's all kinds of different things where you might need to reset that. So again, super simple exercise, easy to do just as long as you're seated or laying down, because you don't want to be standing for that. Because I don't know, did you guys notice when you looked back how were you a little wobbly? I'm always a little wobbly at first. Mel Robbins talks about this a lot. Okay, like in her book or like on her podcast? I feel like I listened to Mel. Maybe Mel taught me how to do it years ago. I don't even know. But yeah, it's so easy to do, very effective. And anyways, just something I wanted to share with you guys, because I know that we could all use that Jello. Yeah, Jello eyes. Exactly. That's a very good way of describing it. Like they're in there, but they're kind of wobbling around. Okay, so I want to dive in. So again, let me show you the book that I've been, and I know I've shared this with you guys a million times. It's the Success Principles from Jack Canfield. It's like, you know me in books. I'm not a big book reader. This bad boy is, where's it at? 561 pages long. But it's not the kind of book that you sit down and read the whole book. Like it's not, it literally has all of the principles, the success principles, and they're broken down and they are explained and they are given examples. But okay, I'm going to have to listen and pay more attention. Thank you, Olivia. But so not every night, because some nights I have to like think about it a little bit more, maybe reread a chapter. I'd like to try to really grasp the principle before I move on. But some nights when I'm reading the principle, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have got to talk about this. And so the other night, the principle is number 18. It is reject rejection. And I was like, I have to share this with everybody I know. So being in sales, which is what we are in, we deal with rejection. Like we're actually taught, if you've ever dove into any like sales training, you're actually taught to go for the no, right? The more no's you get, the higher possibility you're going to get of the answer being yes. But no is a hard thing to hear, right? Because we love our product, we love our business, we love the promo, we love whatever. And when somebody says no, actually, it would probably be easier if people would just say no. But typically, when someone says no, it's they either ghost us or they talk around the answer, or maybe they talk about us. You know, there's all kinds of ways that we can experience rejection. But what I wanted to talk about, first of all, is like what actually rejection means. Like, what is the concept of rejection? And then I want to give you guys some examples that I just think are uplifting. Anytime I feel like, oh, if they did it, I can do it. Like, I like that stuff. And I want to ask you some whys. So sit with me for a sec. I want you to put yourself in the position that I'm going to put you in, and I want you to think, okay? So you have a friend at work who you love, but they're always tired, right? They're always tired. And you are like, this is it. I'm going to reach out and be like, listen, you're always tired. I've got what'll help you. Like, are you ready to thrive with me? And they say no. They're like, no, I can't afford it. No, I don't believe in it. No, I tried it one time. It doesn't work. No. Or what I always think is worse is when like they don't really answer you, but they kind of answer you that like what no response is a response kind of thing. And so now you've gotten this rejection. I want you to ask yourself what in your life has changed because you just felt rejection. You can put it in the chat, you can unmute and talk, whatever you want to do, or you just say it to yourself. So you've reached out to this person. You really think that they'd be great at Thrive or either great at the business, or in this case, they need the product and they've said no. And you've just felt this rejection. What in your life has changed in that moment?
You feel defeated right at first.
Okay. You feel defeated. Anybody else? I'm watching the chat. Okay. So
I always have trouble figuring out how to overcome their objection without coming off, I don't know, spammy. Does that make sense?
So in the moment you feel like you have to overcome the objection.
Well, not necessarily always try to overcome the objection right then and there, but how to respond appropriately to the rejection and when to try to overcome the objection.
Okay. So in the moment, so let's go back to the moment. So you've just been told no. What in your life has changed because this person told you no? So for Sheila, it's more of like, what do I do now? How do I handle this no? For Sandra, she feels defeated. Anybody else? Okay, I'm just going to assume no. I'm going to blow your mind. Are you ready? Literally nothing in your life changed. Nothing in your life changed. That person wasn't thriving with you, and they're still not thriving with you. Your life is identical. Are you with me? Like I didn't. Okay, so Lisa starts to have self-doubt, like she didn't present it well. So feeling defeated, feeling like you didn't do it right, feeling like you're not sure how to overcome that moment, that's all about you, right? I feel defeated. I feel like I failed. I feel like I need to overcome this. Did you reach out to the person because you wanted to win? Or did you reach out to the person because you have something that you think would help them? I'm like watching the chat. Okay, are you following my thought process here? Rejection is basically a myth that we tell ourselves because we have already in our brain prepared what our life is going to look like when this person says yes. So let's backtrack to something that everyone can understand. You've been dating the love of your life, and you start conjuring up that he's going to propose. He's going to propose, and oh my God, I'm going to wear this dress, and oh my gosh, we're going to have a baby, and we're probably going to go on like this amazing honeymoon, and we're going to live in this house. Like you literally start to do all this stuff, right? Like you have created a whole other life in your head that doesn't even exist based on one moment that you're going to wait on to happen. And then what happens if that person doesn't propose? Your life is ruined, right? But your life is actually no different. The life you conjured up is different, but the life that you're living isn't. So what I want you guys to get from this is that when you are going about your day-to-day, specifically with your job, specifically saying, I have a product that's helpful. Hey girl, I think this would make you feel better. Hey, you were talking about how you don't sleep great. Have you ever heard of Thrive? You know, you keep mentioning that you could use a little side money. Have you ever thought about looking into Thrive? If you are going out and about with the knowledge that you now have, you now know that rejection is a myth. You now know that rejection is something that you make up in your head. No one is actually rejecting you. No one is actually saying you didn't do a great job explaining this to me. No one is saying you lose, you don't win, right? No one is saying that to you. They're saying no to a product, or they're saying no to an opportunity. So if you know that, then it's not a big deal for people to say no, because you are just going to keep going on with your job, which is to share the product, right? Are you guys, I hate when I'm the only person on here talking. Like, do you understand? Can someone give me a high five? Can someone nod their head? Does this make sense?
Yeah, because I always think back and I go back to those first messages you sent me when I really, in a roundabout way, told you no. And it didn't have a thing to do with your product. Mm-hmm. It had to do with the fact that it didn't matter how much it was going to cost. I couldn't afford it.
But
Didn't have-
I could have easily on my end been like, oh my gosh,
right.
Sandra, she doesn't like me. She thinks I'm stupid. She thinks what I'm doing is a waste of time. I literally could have put so many meanings to you saying no.
But you
In
didn't.
reality, you weren't, because if I had approached you and thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get Sandra thriving because that is going to cause let's pretend I knew this, because that's going to cause Sandra to then become this amazing promoter who's going to get an auto bonus, who's going to be able to gift someone a car. And then she's going to be able to quit her job as a teacher and become a full-time thriver so that she can buy a house in Texas. Like if I said that, like if that's why I asked you to become a thriver and you said no, could you imagine how devastated I would be? But I just went at it like, hey, I've got this thing that would make you feel good. I think you need it because I didn't know all the things wrong with you, right? But it's the story. Rejection is a story that we tell ourselves. Keep talking, Sandra. Good Lord, I wish I would have had this message to change my mindset so long ago, right? Makes so much sense. I'm looking at it all wrong.
So go back to those messages, each of y'all, where the first person reached out to you, and what did you respond with? And then how did they come back? And so I try to remember that anytime I'm reaching out to somebody. I didn't dislike Tammy. I loved Tammy. It didn't have a thing to do with her. It just had to do with, I didn't think, number one, I was worthy enough of spending money on myself. Number two, college tuition payments. And I knew the Flintstones weren't cutting it, and I was sitting on the couch. But then her message back to me, and I can't tell you verbatim what it said, but it just kept that line of communication open. And then I began asking questions. And then it began like, I need something. And I knew I did. But then the next step was she offered $25 in credits. And I almost needed someone to give me permission to spend money on myself. Keep that in mind. The person you're talking to may not ever buy themselves anything, and they may need almost for you to help guide them into giving them permission.
I agree. But also keep in mind that I didn't know any of that about Sandra. And you don't know anything about, you think you know people, right? Like you think you know everyone. You think you know your friends, you think you know your family. You don't know everything. And so again, that's making up the story in your head. Yes, for Sandra, that was the permission that she needed, but not everyone needs that. I didn't need anyone to give me permission. Like I came at the product a completely different direction. My point is, you as a promoter, the only job you have is to show the product, talk about the product, share what the product's done. Show the product, talk about the product, share what the product's done. Show the product, talk about the product, share what the product is done. It's not up to us to be like, she needs it. That's going to be my next thriver because I need her to become a 12K, or she has to have this because she's got to get out of that bad situation that she's in. Like that's not, we can't proclaim what's going to happen to someone. There are so many people on this team, their lives are 1,010% different from when they started Thrive to now, and none of us could have predicted how it was going to happen. Samantha is an excellent example. She now lives across the country. What? Like who? What? Like no one would have understood that, right? So get out of your noggin. Stop believing your own myths. I'm going to read something from the book just so it kind of, because of course he's actually an author and he makes it make sense. It says, to get over rejection, you have to realize that rejection is really just a myth. It doesn't actually exist. It's a concept that you hold in your head. Think about it. If Patty asked you to dinner if you ask Patty to dinner and she says no, you didn't have anyone to eat dinner with before, and you don't have anyone to eat dinner with now, right? Nothing in your life is different. The situation didn't get worse. It actually stayed the same. It only gets worse if you go inside and tell yourself something like, oh my gosh, Patty hates me. She doesn't want to have dinner with me, right? Maybe Patty's got a stomach bug and doesn't want to tell you about it, right? Maybe Patty's got an allergy and doesn't want to tell you about it. Maybe Patty's had a shitty day and just wants to stay home, right? It's not the reality you're dealing with in what you call rejection. It's the myth that you've made up in your head. This is my favorite. If you apply to Harvard for graduate school and you don't get in, you weren't in Harvard before and you weren't in Harvard after. And honestly, that's already your life. So you know how to deal with that, right? Your life didn't change. You haven't really lost anything. The truth is, you never have anything to lose by asking because there is something possibly to gain. So that to me is the big switch there. You can't be afraid to ask, because if the answer is no, your life is the same. If the answer is yes, your life is totally different. Right? And it's okay to ask repetitively. So I'm going to give you some examples, and these are the things I was saying that are just like for fun, because I think it's fun to I don't know, just hear about things. So and I've heard this before, but I'm going to share this with you again because this is a little bit different. It's the SW approach. SW. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. It's the someone's waiting part that I've never heard before. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. So in other words, if we're seeing, so can I repeat that? This part, the SW part, Lisa, some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. So I want you to think about right now. When I asked Sandra I didn't ask her to become a Thriver. I asked her if she wanted to try Thrive, and she said no. What if I'd stopped? What if, like, right then and there, I was like, well, Sandra doesn't like it. This is dumb. I quit. No other face would be on this Zoom. Well, the Zoom wouldn't even be in existence because nobody would be here. Right? What if when I sent Samantha's husband, Russell, a message and said, got this stuff. I know you like to work out. I think you're going to love it. He told me no, he wasn't interested, but he did go home and tell his wife. But what if when he said no, I quit? And then by this time Sam called me, I was like, oh, I don't do it anymore. How different life would be if I hadn't asked, right? The part about you don't have anything to lose. Okay. The truth is you never have anything to lose by asking. You're never going, when someone says no, you didn't lose anything. In your head, you lost something, right? Because you're like, I need 3 customers for the Miami trip. But she said no, so I lost the Miami trip. No, you didn't lose it. You didn't have it to begin with. So you have nothing to lose by asking. And because there is something possibly to gain, by all means ask. So every time communicate, imagine if Russell never told me about it. Yes, communicate with your spouses at all time, because if Russell had not gone home and told Sam, we would not be here right now. See, that's why I can never be like super mad at Russell, even when I get mad at Russell. Just kidding. So the point is, you always have something to gain by asking. You never have anything to lose. Because even if the answer is no to the question, you didn't lose anything. You might have lost the conjured up image in your mind, but you didn't actually lose. And so going in from that into the SW is some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Some people are going to say yes, and some are going to say no. So what? Out there somewhere, someone is waiting for you and your ideas. It's simply a numbers game. You have to keep asking until you get a yes. There is a yes out there waiting. And you guys have heard this before. What you want wants you. You just have to hang in there long enough so it can find you. Right? What you want wants you. You just have to go find it. So again, because I get messages like this, I don't know, all day, every day. I'm going to put so-and-so in a chat with you. She needs it so bad. It's going to be she's going to love it. And then she doesn't love it. I actually had a person tell me at the last local that we had that she felt the reason her business wasn't getting off the ground was because Sally, I'll call her Sally because I can't remember, Sally said no. So that person was putting her entire business in someone else's hands. One person said no. So she was like, I can't build a business because Sally said no. Do you know, I don't eat McDonald's. I haven't eaten McDonald's since I watched the movie Sick, Fat, and Nearly Dead back in 2007. Do you think McDonald's gives a rat's ass about me not coming to McDonald's anymore? Or do you think they're like, hey girl, since 2007, since you ditched us, we have picked up 1 million new people, right? Because they're not wrapped up in the outcome of the garbage people are here and the dogs are here. They're not wrapped up in the outcome of the commercial, right? They just put the commercial out there and they know what they want is going to find them. So let me go, because I don't want to, there's a ton of really good examples in this book, but I'm going to give you a few examples I'll go through them. Maybe it might be too fast for some of us, but you can always go back and listen. But these are some famous people, right? And I just feel like when you hear a famous person's story, because for me, it's very, I always find it interesting that when two people meet, each of those people really want the other person to know where they've come from. So maybe you meet as millionaires, but in your heart, you're like, I want this person to know that, like, I grew up in a small town. We didn't have a lot of money. My dad was on the road a lot. I got my first job at 13. You know, like, you have that story about you that you really want people to know, but yet when you're on the other side of that meeting the person, you just assume they've always been a millionaire, right? You just always assume. So when we see famous people, or like, to me, famous means successful. When we see successful people, we're like, shoo, they've just always been successful. But everyone has a story. So, okay, the first one, Angie Everhart, which I don't know if you guys, even some of you younger ones may not have known. This is the book. What is it? It's The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Angie Everhart is a very famous, beautiful, stunning model. She was like a supermodel back when that was a thing when I was young. Anyway, she started modeling at the age of 16 and was once told by model agency owner Eileen Ford that she would never make it as a model. She told her, redheads don't sell. Everhart later became the first redhead in history to appear on the cover of Glamour magazine, had an amazing modeling career, and went on to appear in 27 films and numerous TV shows. What if she had listened to that one person? Novelist Stephen King almost made a multi-million-dollar mistake when he threw his Carrie manuscript in the garbage because he was tired of the 30 rejections he received. He wrote a manuscript, he sent it out, 30 people, 30 people told him no. They said, we are not interested in science fiction which deals with negative utopias. He was told that won't sell. Luckily, his wife, it's always us wives, we're always saving the day. Luckily, his wife fished it out of the garbage. Eventually, Carrie was printed by another publisher, sold more than 4 million copies, and was made into a blockbuster film. 30 people told him no. You guys all know Stephen King. Joe Burrow was told in high school he wasn't good enough to get a college scholarship for football. Hello. What if he had listened? In 1998, Google co-founders Sergey Brin and Larry Page approached Yahoo to suggest a merger. Yahoo could have snapped up the company for a handful of stock, but instead they suggested that the young Googlers keep working on their little school project and come back when they had grown up. Within 5 years, Google had an estimated market capitalization of $20 billion. And at the time of this writing, Forbes reported Google's market to be 268 billion with a B. And I'm not sure when this was written. This isn't brand new, so I'm sure it's even more now. Here's a fairly famous one. Maybe you guys have heard this too. Even the first Harry Potter book, which was called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, was rejected by 12 publishers before it found a home. Because she didn't give up, J.K. Rowling is now one of the richest people in England with a net worth of nearly 1 billion with a B. Again, 12 people told her no. How many no's are you getting on a day, a week, a month basis that you're letting stop you from getting one yes? Steven Spielberg, heard that name? He applied and was rejected 2 times by the prestigious USC Film School. He ended up at Cal State University in Long Beach. He later went on to produce and direct some of the greatest blockbuster movies. I'm not even going to list them because you all know them. His net worth is estimated to be minimum of 3 billion, which again, this is an older book, so I'm sure he has even more. And now later, after the fact, the university that rejected him has awarded him an honorary doctoral degree. And for 2 years after that, he became a trustee at the university. So what is my point? You could be rejected all day long and stand up, shoulders back, head high, because literally nothing in your life is different. But if you take one rejection and you let it knock you off for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month, if you look at your vision board, like you guys, when I look at my vision board, if I were to look at that board and then be like, well, if Sonia Whalen doesn't say yes to Thrive, none of these are going to come true. That's a hell of a lot of responsibility I just put on someone else for my dreams, right? Your vision board, your goals Your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they work together. They're based on a lot of activity, a lot of day-to-day activity. Is it all fun? No, sometimes it's mundane as hell. Do you ever get tired of just sending out reach outs? Yeah, sure. It gets boring every now and then. But how many of you on here have gotten a customer at some point in time in your life that had created an account years ago, that had you decided to stop talking to them because they weren't responding and they weren't ordering Thrive? You wouldn't have that customer right now, right? How many of you have been tempted to stop talking about Thrive for a couple of weeks because no one is responding to your messages or no one is commenting on? I mean, you guys, I'm sure you guys feel this, see this, hear this, but like I will make a post, just a regular post about, I don't know, my dogs, my life, whatever. Comments, 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 comments. Make a Thrive post. Crickets. The next post. Comments, 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 comments. You're like, well, are my Thrive posts not being seen? No, they're being seen. They're being seen. You know why they're being seen? Because you're posting them, because you're making them, because you're doing them. People are seeing them. Doesn't mean they're not doing their job. It doesn't mean it's not working. It doesn't mean you've been rejected, right? Somebody just hasn't commented, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to work in the end. I made a post, I don't know, a while back, and the girl was like, okay, you got me finally. Got her finally. She's apparently been watching my post. I didn't even know. She'd been watching it for 4 or 5 years. I'm like, I didn't even know I got you because I didn't know that I was after you, right? But again, I wasn't putting my hopes and dreams on this one person. Not that I didn't know she didn't exist, not that I don't think she's a wonderful person, right? But I didn't know that I got her because I didn't know I was after her. I was just sharing what Thrive does. I was just sharing a product that I use, a product that I love, helps me live great, helps me feel great. I'm here if people are ready for it. Not, oh my gosh, if this one person doesn't order, I'm a horrible promoter. Like, how many times have you wanted to quit or thought you're a horrible promoter because somebody said no? Right? I'm pretty sure most of the faces on here, minus for sure Samantha, because I remember that, you guys probably said no at some point, or you thought no. Maybe you didn't even answer back right away when somebody talked to you about it, but you probably thought, no, I don't know. I said no, I didn't want nothing to do with it. Right? What if Jason Camper and Paul Gravatt were like, ooh, out of our beta test, 5 people didn't like it. Better bag it. Better try a different company. Right? Or they knew they wanted to make a product that worked on certain parts of the body with a business that was structured a certain way, and they built it, and the right people have fallen into place. So I want you to think, I'm going to wrap this up. I want you to think about your business being this thing that you're building, right? You're building a business so that you can make your dream board come alive. And you have to fill in the blocks of that foundation, right? You have to build that like block at a time. Well, every block that you're putting in doesn't have a person's name on it. It has your name on it, right? So like if I was like, I'm going to build my foundation, I'm going to put my Sandra block here and my Samantha block here and my Sonia here and my Sheila and my Lisa. What happens if Sonia drops off one day? Everything falls apart. No, it has to be Tammy. Tammy has to be building this thing, right? So take rejection out of your vocabulary. Nothing in your life will be different when someone says no. Nothing in your life will be different. Heaven forbid somebody makes a nasty comment on one of your Facebook posts or a reel that you make about it. You guys, there's a thing called the delete button. Use it and let your life go back to normal, right? There are truly life-altering events that will occur while you're alive and breathing, and getting told no by a potential customer or potential promoter is not one of them. That is just part of your day-to-day. Like think about a boxer who is training. They're going to get hit, right? They have to get hit. If they don't get punched in the face a few times every time they're training, are they training for boxing? Or are they hopping around, right? So this is it. We're promoters. What do? We share our product. Are some people going to say yes? Yeah. Are some people going to say no? Yeah. It's just part of our day-to-day. So get out there, build your business so that your dreams can come alive. And when you think about the rejection that you don't want to deal with in life, put it on your dream board. Like, I don't want to feel rejected of that dream that I've created. I'm not going to create a dream based around Sally. I'm not going to create a dream based around Bob. I'm My dream is based around me. And I don't want to reject my dream because I'm too afraid of Sally or Bob saying no. Sam says the freedom you feel when you stop expecting everyone you speak to be the next thriver is amazing. I've gotten 2 newbies since finding this mentality. Yes. Sam was very open about how like she had gotten to a place where she would, say go to church or go to the school functions or something like, oh my gosh, that girl's my next driver. She's going to be my next driver. That's going to be my next 12K. And again, that was putting so much expectation on a person who, again, maybe in life, that person has projected to you that they've got their shit together, that they're amazing, that they're well connected, that they're balanced. But in reality, maybe at home they cry a lot and they don't get out of bed very often. And maybe they got a lot of shit going on in their life. So if she was going to continue to look at people as prey, kind of like that's my next person, thinking that they had everything it was going to take to be the best customer, to be the best promoter, that's like a hunter going out and shooting stuff, right? Like you're just like hunting people down. When in reality, what we need to do is shine our light. And there are a lot of people looking for that light. They'll find it. You got to keep your light on. Don't let somebody poo-poo on your light. This is a life lesson, not just a business lesson, okay? Don't let somebody poo-poo on your light. Shine it bright. Let the people come to you. I can't stress enough that asking people if they want to try your product, or asking people if they want to hear more about the business, or asking people if they want to sample the product, or asking people if they want to come to a local, or asking people if they want to watch a Thrive video. It's just a question. It won't kill you and it won't kill them. And if they say no, you're fine. If they say yes, that's exciting, right? So I don't know. Hopefully this was helpful. I just thought it was like such a good chapter. But the reason I wanted to add in to do the vagus nerve reset with you before we did this is because I know that in the moment when someone says no, if you're not prepared for that no, it'll hit you funny, right? So do the reset, then sit down and do your reach outs. Do the reset, then make your reel. Do the reset, then answer your messages, right? Like do whatever, but like stay in here, not always up here. Okay. Oh, what book? I'll show it one more time. It's called The Success Principles. It's by Jack Canfield. I will tell you, I have this book on audio. Oh, I have this book on audio. Some books are great on audio. This one is not, because it goes pretty quick, which is fine. Like the chapter on rejection is maybe 7 pages, but it's 7 pages that really make you think. And I like to read it and think. I've actually reread this chapter 3 times since I read it for the first time the other night. And if you count all the times I've read this book before, but to me, I just think the printed version is good because you can do one principle at a time. You can spend some time with that principle. You can think about it. Whereas on the Audible, he's talking, and before you know it, you folded some laundry and you've gone to Kroger and you've come back and he's talked about 3 principles, but you might have missed it. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just my recommendation. Okay, guys, 20 minutes to the corporate call. See you there. Bye.